books can be mirrors or windows. You can see yourself in a book, or you can read a book like we did growing up, which introduced us to a whole world that was had no connection to our lives, like the famous five. It had no similarity. And I realized when my kids were young in the early 2000s that there were a few books by Indian American authors, but they weren't enough. Most certainly weren't enough. To me, that led to my evolving from doing picture books to middle grade. I still love picture books. I absolutely adore picture books. I will continue to do them always, but it helped my evolution to middle grade because I wanted my kids and other kids to have more access to Indian characters on the page, Indian American characters or Indian characters on the page. So to me, success was having that happen.
Sabrina, I wanted to play a game today in honor of
Ooh.
50 years of hip hop. Are you game?
Oh, nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Hip hop has had such a big impact on music, pop culture, news, society, lifestyle, brands,
Yeah.
everything. So I know you and I both love the music. So I wanted to just throw some names out there and you tell me who is bigger or has had a more impact to you or to society. You game?
Okay.
Okay. Let's
Yeah, let's do it.
let's start easy. Bobby Brown versus LL Cool J.
Ooh. Okay. I have to pick Bobby Brown's music. I'm not a fan of his personality, but music-wise, Bobby Brown hands down. It reminds me of a time where we all hung out in Spain together
Yeah,
and My Prerogative came out.
yeah. I think every little step in Don't Be Cruel till today I jump up and dance to those songs. It's just incredible.
Same.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. All right. NWA or Boys to Men, your favorite.
Okay, Boys to Men for sure. Um, I have to tell this story. You and my brother Ravine at my wedding had hired a group that were they were going to sing Boys to Men songs because my dream was to have Boys to Men sing at my wedding. And that day, that group broke up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Correct.
mean, the odds.
Yeah. But
You pick.
NWA's impact on rap and culture and
Oh,
politics.
oh, substantial,
Yeah.
substantial. Like, I think they changed music.
Got it. Got it. Agreed. Jay-Z versus Diddy, Sean Combs, P. Diddy, whatever his name is today.
I think Jay-Z, he's had lasting power.
Okay.
I mean, Puffy's probably doing stuff behind the scenes, but I think Jay-Z has built an empire.
Yeah.
I mean,
Got it.
his
Uh,
wife, alcohol.
agreed. Well, let's get to her wife. Beyonce. I'm going to add two names here, not one. Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Madonna.
Oh, so we're putting Madonna and Taylor Swift into the hip hop, or who's bigger? Oh
You know,
gosh.
I know Madonna doesn't really fit into the hip hop R&B, but because Madonna's had such an impact on women.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, do we still call her the queen of pop, or has she been taken over by Taylor? Oh, I don't know who I would pick.
I was going to put
Right
Michael
now, it's Taylor Swift.
I was going to put Michael Jackson and Madonna, but then after Michael Jackson, there's nobody bigger.
Yeah,
So
at least for you and I, there's no one bigger.
no, for everybody. I mean, Michael Jackson, I was thinking Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra. I just couldn't. Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson, despite the
Yeah,
whole, underage thing, which we're not going to discuss today. Michael Jackson is the most iconic.
it's the king of pop.
He's the king.
I mean,
He's the king.
yeah,
Yeah.
the king.
Yeah. Not
So
LeBron.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick. If we're talking about today, I'm gonna pick Taylor Swift. I mean, she's about to grow. I mean, she's about to be a billionaire when this tour is over.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Beyonce. Yeah, she married. Did she marry up? Is Jay Z richer?
Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I think Beyonce, Destiny's Child and her journey and her power, she's the queen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Taylor Swift is phenomenal, but for me, it's Beyonce. All right, moving on. Let's do a bit of East Coast versus West Coast. Let's talk
Oh,
about those
yes.
who are no longer with us. Tupac versus Notorious B.I.G.
Biggie all the way.
Biggie, yeah.
100%. Yeah. I still love Tupac songs, but I
Biggie,
gotta go.
yeah,
I gotta go East Coast.
yeah, yeah. I think his rap was, yeah, second to none. I
Yeah.
agree with you on that one. And last but not least, Eminem versus Dr. Dre.
I was actually gonna ask you about Eminem. When you're talking about talent, I'm gonna go musical talent. I'm actually gonna pick Eminem. I think he's top 2 to 3 rappers of all time.
Wow. Um,
Yeah.
I'm going with Dr. Dre just for what he did with Beats and having Apple buy them for $3 billion. Till today, it's Apple's largest acquisition in history of Apple.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was $3 billion. So Dr. Dre was the first black hip hop billionaire. So, and wasn't he in the Super Bowl? Like
Yeah.
the last
2 years ago, maybe.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
right? But then Eminem also is popping up everywhere nowadays.
And he was there too, I think. So who would you pick based on musical talent? Would you pick Eminem or Dre? I mean, Dre's pretty talented himself.
I love Dre. I think
Yeah.
his tunes, I think his beats are awesome. Obviously, when it comes to just straight out rap, if there was a rap battle, I would choose Eminem. But otherwise, I'm going to go with the Doctor.
All right. Very cool. This is fun.
Sabrina, thank you for participating in today's 50 Years of Hip Hop Party. I hope we can have similar games like this instead of just wins and fails. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I love it. I mean, we grew up on hip hop. We're that generation. So I loved it. This was fun. So, Amitu, I am especially excited today to have a New York Times best-selling author with us. Her name is Varsha Bajaj. She is an award-winning author of picture books and middle school novels. I came across her when my daughter, who, as you know, is 10 years old, she's a fifth grader, they sent her a list of books to read over the summer, and it's called the Texas Bluebonnet book. And the Texas Bluebonnet is one of the most prestigious children's choice literary awards in the US. So every year 20 books are chosen to be on this list. And Varsha's book Thirst, I have it right here, was on the list. So I was looking through the list and I told Naima, I said, I think this one I want to read it with you. It sounds really interesting. It was so interesting that only 2, 3 chapters in, I said I have to email Varsha and tell her how much I love it, especially because I got to talk to Naima about parts of our culture that I wouldn't have otherwise. And we started emailing back and forth, and she agreed to be on our podcast, and I'm so grateful. So, Varsha, welcome. We are so excited to have.
Thank you. I am thrilled to be here, especially because my being here is at the recommendation of one of my readers. So that is special.
Yes, and I am telling everyone about this book. I fell in love with it. I truly did.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And we'll talk more about the book in a little bit, but honestly, I fell in love with it. I'm not joking.
That is everything. Truly, the when readers email me and write to me, and sometimes they get these really cute cards drawn by readers with
Oh, wow.
depictions of my covers, it's the best.
Hi, Varsha. How you doing?
Good. Hi, Amit.
Varsha, I personally suck at writing. So I'm very excited to pick your brains about how to become a better writer. But before that, I want to start from the beginning. How does one become a writer? How does one get into the New York best-selling list? Can we start from the beginning? Because I believe you're from Bombay. I've just spent the last 10 years in Bombay as well. My wife is from Malabar Hill in Bombay as well. So can you give us your background?
Sure. I was born and raised into a Maharashtrian family. Um, my people have been there for generations. My great grandfather moved to Bombay from rural Maharashtra back in the early 1900s, and we've been there all through. Um, I came to America in the fall of 1986 to go to school, university. The typical Indian immigrant story. So I came to Illinois. The only difference was I was not a techie. Um, because it feels like a lot of people who came back then were engineers and
Mhm.
um,
Doctors.
doctors, engineers, computer scientists. I was in psychology, and that. So I finished my master's. I got a job, met my husband. I met my husband in school actually. He was
In in America or in Bombay?
in Illinois. Yes, yes.
In
I came
Illinois.
Okay.
to America as a single um, person to study, and I met him in school, and then we got married. Life starts to happen. We did immigrate. We got our green cards, and then I had kids, and I have always been a reader, a voracious reader, and I grew up reading Enid Blyton is something that's familiar to a lot of Indian
Mhm.
people.
Is that the
Um,
famous five? That
yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Famous
Top, yeah,
Five,
yeah.
Secret
The dog.
Seven,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes,
See, oh, I love those. I read
yeah,
those.
Mallory
No,
Towers, all of
yeah.
those books. I remember reading Hardy Boys. I remember reading Nancy Drew. Um, so I read everything I could get my hands on in India. Most of them were series books. I also read a lot of Amar Chitraktha.
Oh yeah.
You remember those?
The yeah, yeah. The Mahabharata. What's it called?
Yes?
The spiritual, religious figures, Krishna,
Yeah.
and but
Yes.
in fun and animated. It's
Yeah,
animated, right?
they
Like
were.
comic.
So today they would probably be called graphic novels by the industry.
Yeah,
Back in
Okay.
the days, we used to call them comic books,
yeah, yeah.
and they were on. They were about mythology sometimes. Sometimes they were, uh, on Gandhi or the freedom fighters. So they were actually pretty darn amazing.
Yeah.
And so I read those. And then, you grew up and you went on to read other books. I was a big, big, big Somerset Maugham fan. Um, so I'd always been reading. It was therefore just obvious that when my kids were young, I started going to every program that the public library offered. And America's public libraries are absolutely amazing. They are the great equalizers in terms of access to books and knowledge and growth. And to me, they are the crowning jewel of American literary life is public libraries. They had story times, which were delightful. Um, and so we started going to story time every single week. And I started buying picture books. Um, our very favorite picture book was Chicka Chicka Boom Boom.
I think I've heard that one.
You have to have heard that one.
Yeah. It's a small
But
square.
yeah, I mean, it's available as a board book. We had the big one.
Yeah.
We had the big one.
Okay.
So Chicka Chicka Boom Boom by Bill Martin Jr. was our favorite book. And it started with A told B and B told C, I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. I mean, look at that rhythm, right? Look at that rhythm. It was
It's
the
like a
most
song.
amazing book. It's like a song. It's like a rap. It's like a song. It's like a book. It's everything. Um, and so we started reading, and I fell in love with picture books.
Okay.
Got it. Can I
I
add
Yeah.
what you're telling me about the libraries in America? There's this famous Indian called is he Indian? Yeah, Naval Ravikant. He's the
Okay.
founder of Angel List, and
Ah,
I heard in his podcast a few years ago where he grew up with a single mother, and the single mother was working all day. So what she
ah,
did was she would drop Naval to the public library in the morning instead of a day
amazing.
school, and at the end of the day, at night, she'd pick him up from the library. So Naval, all he did growing up for like 10 years was read, 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 read. Today he is the one of the most successful people in the world. He started Angel.co, which is the largest
I'm going to write
angel.
this name down.
Naval Ravikant. He's actually
Okay.
got he's very, very famous. He's like a guruji for
Yeah.
everyone in Silicon Valley. Uh,
Okay.
Naval Ravikant. Yeah, he
Got it.
is phenomenal, and he attributes his success to reading. So it
I
just
agree.
similar to what you just told me.
I agree. I mean, and the thing is, like you said, his mother was a single mother with limited resources, and yet he had all the resources at his fingertips at the public library.
Yeah, and
And
today it's on
I
Google.
yeah.
Today it's all online. So Harvard's online, Stanford courses are online. So there's no excuse for knowledge.
No, and then remember, even with Google and all of that, you still need a device, you need all of that.
Yeah,
But the public library in America, you need nothing
yeah.
except
Yeah, that's
card,
true.
except
Just
a card that allows you to check out books, and that card is for free.
and the attitude and the intent to go and learn.
And the
Yes.
librarians, I mean, let's not forget the librarians in all of this, right? They're the unsung heroes because they really are. I mean,
Yeah.
I owe my career to librarians and teachers.
How's that?
I love that.
How is that? I want to because the librarian in my son's school, it's not really one to recommend. It's like upright. No, she'll just digit on the computer. It's on level Q, row 5A. Go get it. So, how was your librarian days?
So,
I think the definition has changed over the last few decades.
yes, see, librarians are the middleman in a sense because we write the books, we have editors, we have publishers, we have all of that. Then the books go into the bookstores and they go into libraries. There are many, many, many children in this country today who don't have the resources to go to a bookstore and buy the book, right? When libraries buy a book, they give that opportunity to those who don't have the resources, right? And for example, Sabrina started by saying she was introduced to thirst by the Bluebonnet list. Who made that Bluebonnet list?
Yeah.
Librarians?
A group of librarians are part of that
Oh, awesome.
Librarians and teachers.
selective team.
Librarians and teachers, and they read hundreds, maybe thousands of books that are published each year and come up with that list of 20 books. So the Texas Library Association had its conference in, oh goodness, I think it was end of April in
Hmm.
Austin, and the Bluebonnet list, we were all there. And they had this most fun, amazing event. It was called Speed Dating with Librarians. And you had tables with, I think there were about 10 librarians per table, and the author went from table to table. And you were given, I think, 7 minutes, something like that,
Okay.
to tell them about your book.
Awesome.
Awesome, right?
Awesome
So,
concept.
Yeah.
Love it.
and I mean, the only thing was at the end of that, whatever thing, I think it was an hour and a half, I'd lost my voice. I was with my halls. I kept halls ready today too, but I mean, it was so now you have to remember those 150 librarians that I talked to that day will go into 150 schools. Each of them have on an average 500 students.
Yeah.
So look at the reach.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I wouldn't be here if Sabrina's daughter hadn't picked up Thirst from her Bluebonnet list.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
So I think that they are truly the heroes.
Yeah, they don't get any
That's very
praise.
cool.
Yeah, first time I hear someone praising librarians. So thank you for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, my goodness. I could go on and on. You don't want me to, but good.
We we want to skip from
Varsha,
librarians
so
to you.
Yeah.
yes, yes. Let's go back to you. So you you fall in love with picture books and you create your first or write your first picture book and you have an illustrator. How does that happen? And then you go from being a counselor, a therapist to a full-time author.
So, I started writing um, because we had moved to Houston from St. Louis, my husband and I, and our two little kids. My husband at the time was working for a startup. This was late 1990s, like 98, around there. And we decided that for the sanity of our family, I would take a step back for a little bit, maybe a couple years. And I had never taken a break in my life. I mean, I'm a bit of a workhorse. And so when the kids would take naps, I started to write. And then I had a manuscript and I didn't know what to do with it because what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And again, the public library. I was at the public library for story time and I was looking, they had those kind of like cork boards outside,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of stuff on it. I mean, some of it is like apartments for rent. But among all of that, there was a sign that said, "Do you want to write children's books?" And we are having a seminar. I wrote down, I took the little information and I went the next week. And I still remember that my son was in preschool. The babysitter didn't show up for my daughter. She was like little. And so I took her, the car seat,
Mm-hmm.
those impossible to carry car seats that require you to do heavy lifting. Yeah, I took her in the car seat and I thought if she's quiet, then I will participate. God bless her, she slept through the whole thing. And the two women who did the seminar were members of the SCBWI, which is the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It is a international organization with chapters all over the world. Um, and there was a Houston chapter, and both the ladies who were doing the seminar were from the Houston chapter. And I waited while they cooed on my daughter, who was adorable. Back, she was just a little chunk back then, and they said, you should come for a meeting. Um, I didn't get to the meeting for months afterward, but one day I did get to the meeting, and then in And then I started understanding that most publishers don't want you to send them manuscripts unless you have an agent, a literary agent. Well, I didn't have a literary agent, but they were having a kind of like a little conference, and they were going to invite editors from different publishing houses to Houston. You had to sign up, and if you attended the conference, at the end of the day you could submit a manuscript. So I was there, followed all the directions of how to format and how to, submit this manuscript. And that's how
It's like the stars were aligned.
it really was.
Your
Yes,
daughter didn't
yes,
cry.
she
You were
didn't.
able to make the, I mean,
I know.
it was meant to be.
But let me say that I think this conference, now this was a long time ago, this was 2001. So I can't remember exactly which month, but it was the early part of the year. I immediately, like within a month and a half, got two rejections. One said that didn't they didn't really love books in rhyme, and so they were going to pass. Fine. Which again, now I'm saying, okay, fine. Back then, I was devastated. I was like, oh my God. And, I ate ice cream, I drank more wine than I should have, and all of that. But then came a second rejection, which was a form letter: Dear author. And then 6 months had passed. And so I just figured, okay, well, that's not going to happen. In September, I get a call. So this is like from January to September. I have forgotten, I have given up on that manuscript. I get a call, and the lady introduced herself and she said, I am an editor at Little Brown. So now you guys all know Little Brown, right? It's, Little Brown, Hachette. It was bought over by Hachette, but the publisher for every illustrious writer that you have ever read, Little Brown. So I thought it was one of my friends pranking me because they knew I hadn't heard from them. So I thought it was one of my friends pranking me, and I'm like, I, I said yes, and are you Varsha? Yes, and she said, I read your manuscript, and I would like to take it to an acquisitions meeting next week. Do you have an agent? And I said, no, I don't. And she said, well, is it okay if I take it to the acquisitions meeting? I said, sure. And so she did. And a week later, it sold. That book was How Many Kisses Do You Want Tonight? And it was illustrated at the time by Ivan Bates, who was British. Um, we collaborated over email. Um, and that book, believe it or not, it feels like a miracle in the publishing industry, but that book is still in print. So it'll be 20 years old next year. And I plan to celebrate that because that's a milestone. It has never gone out of print. It was reissued in 2021 with a brand new cover because they felt
Wow.
they wanted to redo the colors, and
That's fantastic.
so that
That's
was the first one.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
Congratulations.
Thank
so many
you.
questions, Varsha. I mean,
I know.
I want to know everything. I want to know, did your kids, you said you have two children,
Yes.
did you write thinking that you're scripting a story like to them? Did they
Yes.
inspire you? I also want to understand the publishing industry. Like, would you consider self-publishing now that you're an illustrious New York best-selling author, or would you always want to go through the, you know, literally agent publishing route? Sorry, that's two
Um,
questions in one, but I have many more.
yeah. Yes. So How many kisses do you want tonight was a question that I would ask my son. It was our bedtime thing.
Yeah.
He was maybe like 3 or 4 when I started doing that, and he was big into counting. He had those little matchbox cars, and he would line them up, and he would say 1, 2, 3, 4. He would count the cars. There would be like 75 or something. I don't know. So I started asking him, "How many kisses do you want tonight?" And he would answer. And so I wrote that first question, "How many kisses do you want tonight?" And I thought, okay, where do I go from here? And that's how that book started. So, yes, it was definitely inspired by a game that I played with my son. Um, and your second question was the publishing route. I I'm going to stick to traditional publishing. Um, I have so my first book was with Little Brown, but my last one, two, 6 books. Yeah, I'm not sure about the number, but the last 4 to 6 books have been with Penguin Random House, and um, I just love my editor at Penguin. She is the head of her own imprint, Nancy Paulson Books within Penguin. And I feel incredibly grateful, incredibly grateful to have her as my editor. We are a team. And
That's great.
yeah, we're a team. I also think that the school and library team at Penguin um, that supports Nancy Paulson Books are the best. They are passionate about books and stories and reaching readers and all of that. And so,
So,
yeah,
sorry, that team, there's a school and library team within Penguin.
yes,
They help promote the books to the schools and the libraries, I'm
yes,
assuming.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. I
Wow,
mean, they
this
come in,
so much to learn.
yeah, they come in after the book is completely done,
Okay.
you know, and they come in then. And I mean, they are the most passionate team of young people because they are all young and they just have so much enthusiasm. And so I just feel like um while the author's name is on the book cover, writing a book is not a one person job, in
Okay.
my opinion. I mean, I recognize the fact that people think differently, but I think that there's a whole lot of people who are behind the scenes.
Okay.
I mean, for example, the cover of Thirst was done by Chaya Prabhat. I mean, look at that cover. I
It's so pretty.
Yes, but I had shared pictures that I took while I was in Bombay of the painted slums.
Hmm.
Since you both have been to Mumbai, you see them when you go on the Mahim Skylink. You see them all over. And I took pictures and I shared them with my editor, and I think that she shared them in turn with Chaya.
Okay.
Um, the cover of a book, or the cover of my book Count Me In, I mean, that is just brilliant. And that was, I'm always um, a little worried when I pronounce her name because I don't want to mess it up, but um, her name is Eleni Kaller Cody, and she does illustrations and artwork for the New Yorker. I mean, to get somebody like that
Yeah.
to illustrate the cover, because covers do attract you. Yes, you met that book on the Bluebonnet list, but there are others who see that book on a bookshelf. Something pulls you in.
It's true. when I'm, say I'm at the airport and I'm looking for a new book,
Right.
I don't know what they're about. So first thing that attracts me is the cover, then I'll read the back,
Then you
you
can
know.
back
I wanted
exactly.
I wanted to talk to you about your
Ah,
latest book.
yes.
I have
Before
that one too,
before
and I loved it.
before that,
Okay, you want to
Sabrina, I like the bedtime stories. My wife doesn't ask for kisses. My wife demands 5 kisses per child. If
There you
if they
go.
don't give if they don't give her 5 kisses, the next night it's 10, like a punishment.
Oh,
Yeah. So
That's your first book idea.
there you
y-
go.
yeah,
You
you
could
know.
write about that.
No. So speaking about that, you mentioned about the teamwork. You know, I listen to a lot of podcasts about artificial intelligence and what's happening in technology, and I see a lot of people are saying, you know what, get online, get on ChatGPT, OpenAI, write a book, go to Gumroad, publish it, start making money. If you don't do that, you're lazy. And these are not very creative, well thought out books, but people are doing that. Are you scared that AI is like just like the writers and actors are now on strike because of in Hollywood because of pay increases and potential of AI replacing them? Is that something that you lose sleep over, or are you so good at your niche that you don't think AI is going to touch you?
I think if there's anybody who feels AI is not going to touch them, they're a little unaware,
I
naive.
was I was going to use a stronger word. Okay,
Yes,
let's go with
I
your word.
was too. I was too, and therefore the little pause.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't think anybody should have that kind of arrogance. Um, because the other day I was on Instagram and I'm afraid I don't remember the names. I should have remembered. But there was this guy who was taking a song that was sung by Sonu Nigam, doing some AI settings, and then producing it as if Kishore Kumar had sung it or Mohammed
yeah,
Rafi had sung it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like,
And they're
oh
awesome.
my God. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Right? There was also that Drake song that went,
sure.
yeah.
Viral.
So yeah. So there is all of that. And it is a little worrisome. My son, who is now in his 20s, came home one day and said, Mom, you got to see this. And he asked ChatGPT, he gave all the, he said all the prompts to
Yeah,
ChatGPT and said, who is Varsha Bajaj and what are her books about or some such thing. I was shocked because within a minute, it had summarized my books, my themes, my writing style. I mean, that is a paper, like if a kid had been asked to write a paper about an author, let's say,
yeah.
it would take hours to research and read and then put it all together in a thoughtful, intelligent way. And ChatGPT did it in less
In
than a minute.
seconds. Yeah, seconds. It's
So is
incredible
it
too.
scary? Absolutely. And I think, though, having said all that, I think that ChatGPT today is still not um, producing original creative content. It's
Hmm.
taking from what is there and then building on that. You know?
I
Today.
think it's missing the originality,
Yes.
the experiences a
Yeah.
human has,
Yeah.
the creative talent,
Right.
you know?
It's kind of
Yeah.
like fan fiction, actually. Have you guys looked into fan fiction? I mean,
No?
there is so much out there where, kids will. It started, I think, probably before Harry Potter, but Harry Potter was the first time I became familiar with fan fiction. They would take a character from Harry Potter and then build a story with,
Okay.
but all the characters are in place, the settings are in place, all of that. But then they take the character and run with it, you know. So, for example, one of the things I do when I do my writing workshops in school is I ask a question to kids who have read Count Me In. And there are two characters in that book. It's told in alternating voices. So there's Karina Chopra and there's Chris Daniels. And it goes Karina, Chris, in terms of the chapters, alternating voices. And I said to them, will they be friends 5 years from the end of the book? And if they will be friends, what are they doing now? Write a story.
Okay.
And you should see the responses. I mean, the whole gamut. They are friends versus they are dating. They are not friends. They
Killed each other.
they no. They gaslighted each other. Hey, we gotta get with the terminology. They gaslighted
That's
each other.
that's the word
So
to
they
use
did
now.
all that.
Yeah.
Ghosted, they did this, they did that. I mean, they are so creative. I've seen things where one of them has died. I mean, so what they're doing is fan fiction, and to
Yeah.
me, some it feels a little bit derivative right now with ChatGPT
Hmm.
and all of that. But again, I couldn't have imagined ChatGPT 10 years ago, so I
Yeah.
don't know where.
Right.
Time will tell. Time will tell. I
Yeah,
agree.
so it's
Sabrina,
only
sorry, I
going.
wanted to get Varsha's point of view.
No, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. I did want to talk about your latest book,
And
your
Yes.
Barbie.
Showtime Covey. So, and we can ask a Barbie question after. Yes, definitely. So in December, my daughter and I heard that
Yes.
American Girl doll released the first Indian American Girl doll, and we were ecstatic. She wanted it, and I said, absolutely not, because you already have one. And
Oh,
we've done the whole experience there, and we weren't doing it again right now. Um, but I just read the book, and I was so excited to hear that you were chosen or asked to write It's Showtime Covey, the book, the first book about Kavi Sharma.
yes.
So how were you how were you chosen to write this book?
Congratulations.
Tell it.
That's an
Thank
achievement.
Yes, what a
you. Thank you so
absolutely.
much. Um, so let's go back to fall of 2021.
Okay.
I had just finished writing Thirst, and I told my husband I'm going to take a couple months off, and I am going to read, and I'm going to replenish the creative well, so to say. Um, I'm going to maybe go on a retreat, all of these wonderful ideas. And then we got an email from American Girl Doll. And they approached my literary agent and me and said they wanted a meeting, a Zoom meeting, because remember that was COVID days. And so I said to my agent, what would they want from me? And she was like, I have no idea, but you should talk. And so I had the first Zoom meeting with the editor from American Girl Doll, who was wonderful. And she said they wanted to do an Indian American Girl Doll. And she said, we have been reading all of the Indian American authors. And this was like, I mean, it gives me goosebumps. But
Absolutely.
Oscar
chapter,
moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She said on page 122 of Count Me In, you mention American Girl Doll. And I said, I do? Because, like, I mean, Count Me In came out in 2019, so I probably wrote it in 2017. This was 2021. I don't remember every word that I have used in a book.
Of course.
And I said, I did? And she said, yeah. So I grabbed my book. I mean, we were on Zoom. I grabbed my book, went to the page, and sure enough, I had mentioned American Girl Doll. My daughter, when she was whatever 7, I think,
Mm-hmm.
um, her friends were getting American Girl dolls, and at the time there was a line called a girl like me, so you could kind of choose the.
Yep.
You remember that? Yeah,
Yeah.
choose the hair color, skin color, and all of that. So Karishma, luckily there was a black-haired doll, um, who was kind of like a medium tone, medium to light tone. Um, so that's the doll we bought, and I I think I enjoyed it just as much as she did, frankly.
Same here. I feel like I'm getting emotional listening
Yeah,
to you and the fact that you wrote this book because I'm remembering my experience with my daughter. And it's funny because she picked a doll first that looked nothing like her.
right,
And my husband and I were laughing and we're like, well, let's pick one that looks like you. So she's like, you're mini me, you know? And now the fact that Indian girls can go pick an Indian doll that
right.
looks like them, it's a huge
It
deal.
is a huge deal. And an aside, so the doll was introduced. I'm jumping forward, but the doll was introduced on Good Morning America,
Hmm.
December 29th, 2022. And before that, I had to sign non-disclosure agreements because they keep their, I mean, it's airtight. So I couldn't tell anybody. I had told like a couple of friends, that's it. Because I mean, you've signed a non-disclosure agreement with Mattel. You
Yep.
better not violate that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was introduced on Good Morning America, and that within that week, I got all of these friend requests on all my social media, mainly Instagram and Twitter, I think, um, requesting to follow me. And I thought, who are these women? And they're all Indian, and they were all like in their late 30s, early 40s. And then I'm seeing them sending me messages saying, what would I have given to have this doll in the 80s or the 90s? And that was just so rewarding to me. So that's how it started. She said, we really like your tone, we like your style, we like blah blah blah, and we think that you would be the right person to do this. When I signed on, though, I she was not the girl of the year. I have to say, she's not the girl of the year. She was an Indian American doll, and I was fine with that. A couple months into the process, they requested a meeting, and they said, hello, hi, surprise, Kavi is going to be the girl of the year.
Amitu, Amit has three boys. So he hasn't experienced the American Girl doll. They pick, of all the dolls, they have names, they have, personality, a story behind them. So Kavi Sharma became the girl of the year.
That's awesome.
They pick a,
So
I
she
understood.
yeah.
became the girl of the
I got
year.
that. That's awesome.
When she became the girl of the year, I was like, I mean, that's a huge responsibility, but I had already signed everything. I was already into the thing, and I'm kind of glad that it wasn't decided when I signed on, because I think I might have been a little more intimidated. Um, I wasn't.
Well, I think you did fantastic. The book is so much fun.
It's
But what you
delightful.
And
get, what you get with Girl of the Year, is there like a party and Priyanka Chopra shows up and says, "This is me"? You
Well,
know,
no, GMA, Good Morning America,
the
announces
show.
the girl of the year.
Yeah,
See,
and they
they have
invite you to speak. Were you
no,
there?
they didn't invite me to speak, but they had. If you go to the American Girl Instagram account, they have like the whole clip, or if you Google it, the whole clip will come on. There were dancers. Reena Shah, who was one of the dance consultants, took her little troupe from New Jersey to the studio,
Oh, cute.
And I got a lot of attention, more attention than I'm comfortable with, very honestly.
Got it.
You know, you're right. As a girl, I had the Indian Barbie that
Yes.
we bought in India,
Yeah.
right? So that's what we had. I mean, dude, we had the
Yeah.
fake Barbie, but the Indian version. So
Yeah.
yes, ask your Barbie question.
No, I'm scared from a time management perspective. We haven't got to the
Oh,
success
Yes.
question. We haven't got to the rapid fire. I want your thoughts on Barbie the movie. I don't know. We're really running behind. I hope you have some time for us. Um,
yeah.
so Barbie the movie,
It
out of
was so much
10,
fun. It
out of
was so
10,
much
7,
fun.
8,
I would say seven.
7.
I would
Okay.
say seven. And I think they made a fantastic choice in Greta Gerwig because she brought so much substance to
Hmm.
the concept.
Yeah.
And I think that in the hands of a less talented um, director, it may not have made the impact that it did. So I'm going to say even eight, maybe. Yeah. Well
Yeah.
done.
Sabrina, out of 10.
Well done. I agree. I'll go with
Go ahead.
the 8 as well. I
Yeah.
told you in our last
Got it.
podcast that it was very well done.
Got
Very
it.
well done.
Thank you for that. I haven't seen it yet, but my mom loved it.
Oh,
Varsha, we ask all our guests what their definition of success is and whether success to them has evolved over time.
um, so I'm going to say I think books can be mirrors or windows, and that's a concept that was put forth by a librarian a long time ago. And right now, her name unfortunately is slipping my mind. But um, you can see yourself in a book, and or you can read a book like we did growing up, which introduced us to a whole world that was had no connection to our lives, like the famous five. It had
Yeah,
no
that was the
similarity.
window.
Yeah, it was a window.
Yeah,
And I realized when my kids were young in the early 2000s that there were a few books by Indian American authors, but there weren't enough. Most certainly weren't enough. Um, and to me, that led to my evolving from doing picture books to middle grade. I still love picture books. I absolutely adore picture books. I will continue to do them always, but it helped my evolution to middle grade because I wanted my kids and other kids to have more access to Indian characters on the page, Indian American characters or Indian characters on the page. So to me, success was having that happen. And
the
today,
journey.
things, yeah. So to me, when I first published Abby Spencer Goes to Bollywood, which is a very light-hearted kind of fun book, um, when I when I wrote Count Me In, which is a whole lot more serious, um, to Thirst, just when I visit schools, some schools have more desi kids, others have maybe one or two, others have maybe 10. I'm seeing more kids who are confident and bold and proud of who they are, but I also see kids who are very shy, who whisper to me. They'll whisper and they'll say, um, my dad's name is also Ravi, like, yeah. And so to me, that is success. When they see an Indian American author invited by their school, where all their classmates are reading that book and looking up to you and loving the book, Because
Hmm.
really, my books are for all kids. They're not just for Desi kids, they're for all
Right.
kids. Just as
Sure.
Enid Blyton wrote for all kids. So to me, that is success.
Got it. That's great.
I think I'm enjoying hearing what Naima, my daughter, what her friends are thinking about the book as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the questions they're asking, like, in Thirst, why do they have to go to a water well to get water? Why isn't
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
they're learning about the
New
culture
concept.
and yeah,
Yeah.
or,
And
you know,
this is the world these kids are inheriting. The water crisis is real. It's global.
Yeah.
yeah, it is global. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So,
so I mean, to me, that is success. Is to see is to provide windows for kids who are unfamiliar with our culture, and to provide mirrors for those who are familiar. And no one book can ever represent a culture as religiously diverse and culturally diverse as India. No, no one book
mhm.
can do that. No one story can do that. But if kids see slivers of who they are, to me that is success.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
excellent.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
not to get political, but um, if you get a chance on YouTube, when he was 18 years old, Vivek Ramaswamy gave the speech at the end of his college, the end of the 4 years. I forget the name of the college, but the way he delivered the speech about what they've learned and the future, it's I was inspired, and he was 18. I'm 46. I can't speak like that guy spoke when he was 18, but I
Mhm.
thought. It goes to what you were saying about some people whispering to you and some people having the confidence to speak up. I thought it
Yeah.
was a beautiful, I highly recommend that to anybody.
Amit, do we have time for one more question before rapid fire? How are we
Sabrina,
doing?
I've never said no to you. I'm not going to start now.
And I know I feel like we could talk to Varsha for so much longer. My daughter loves writing.
Oh,
Okay. And when she read Thirst with me, I said, "Do you have any questions?" Right? And she wants to know, what do you ever have writer's block? And what do you do when you have writer's block?
of course I have writer's block. Everybody has writer's block. Um, to me, I've tried to, and again, I'm going to make this quick, but I could talk about writer's block for an hour, um, because there's so much that goes into what is called a writer's block. You know,
Right.
um, it's basic. Sometimes, for me, writer's block is about fear, because I start something and then I question, should I be writing this? Should I not be writing this?
Mm.
Am I ready to write this story? Because Thirst was a story that I had thought about for years. I had the hardest time starting on that story
Wow.
because I wanted to do those characters justice. You know, was I ready to tell that story? So sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's maybe that, the circumstances, like in life, right? I mean, life is
Hmm.
not just about writing, it's about a whole lot more. And sometimes it's just that your life isn't cooperating, or you're stressed, or um, uh, yeah, it's just where the muse is taking a break. And then at other times, I think it's a lack of planning, because are you writing because you have a story to tell? Or are you writing because you want to see your name on a cover?
Mm. Hmm.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
I wanted
Like, do
to,
you really have a story to tell?
yeah, I
Yeah.
want to add to that. Uh, for selfish reasons, to become a better writer, what tools are you using? Do you use Notion, or I don't know? Are you writing on a paper and pencil? Are you like on a MacBook just typing? Can you tell us your routine on what
Yeah.
works for you? Are you like a morning 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then the rest of the day you switch off? just walk us through that routine, please.
I start every manuscript with a legal pad and a pencil, well sharpened number 2 pencil. I There's something about the sound that a pencil makes on a legal pad that makes me more creative. Yes. So I start with
Number
a legal
two.
pad. Yes, the number
Number
2.
number
There
two.
you go. There you go.
Hmm.
So I start that way. And I scribble and I scribble and I scribble. I brainstorm essentially. And at some point, the story starts to emerge. And when that happens, I go to my Mac and I start typing. Um,
That's
every
awesome.
book that I every book that I write, I probably discard 5 to 8,000 words. Like I start writing and I start writing and I think it's going well, and then I think it's not going so well, and I will delete everything and I'll start all over. I
Wow.
feel like it takes me those 5, 7, 8, 10,000
Drafts.
words even to get into who my character is. I don't even count my drafts anymore.
Yeah.
I Yeah. Um, but I did try once to use Scrivener, but I just went back to
Yeah. Pad.
um,
Pad and
yeah,
pencil.
and just a Word document. My documents initially are called WIP and the year. So
Work
Thirst
in
was
progress.
WIP 2020. So Work
Yeah.
in Progress 2020. At some point of the story, the title comes to me, and then I change the name of the file to Thirst or Count Me In or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
And
Um,
to focus, like, do you put like, my wife now puts white noise on to focus because we're used to sleeping with white noise now. I
yeah,
put I put hip hop and R&B music in the background on Spotify, and that gets me in my zone. What do you do?
I need silence.
Oh,
I can't. I know. I see all these playlists. I see all
yeah,
these playlists that authors share. And at one time I thought, wow, okay, I'm going to do a playlist too. But I cannot, I
yeah,
don't need any competing words.
got it, got
So,
it.
Mm.
So you couldn't write a book
so
in Bombay.
no, well, I can. I mean, if it's the noise of taxis or something, that's different. But I don't want anybody speaking to me. I just don't want any, and I close myself off,
Got it.
Interesting.
That's very
and I
interesting.
start writing around 10 to 12, and then I try to stop at about 500 words per day. And
Okay.
there's a reason, because there are days I could write a whole lot more. Um, I feel like I stop at 500 because then I know what I'm going to write next. So when I come back next day, I know what
Yep,
I'm going to write next.
it's still
I'm
fresh.
not just staring at the computer saying, I wrote everything I could think of yesterday. Now, what am I going to write today? So I kind of stop at 500 and then I know where I'm going for the next 500.
Wow, that's good skills, good insights. I would have
Yes,
finished
yes.
the 1,000 words and taken a week off.
No, no. See, I mean, these are just things that I've discovered over time. It's not
Yeah,
like
what works for
they
you?
came to me.
Sure,
Yeah. And
sure.
everybody's process is different. What works for me may not work for somebody else.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, Varsha, we do at the end of every show a rapid fire.
Yes.
We'll
Okay.
ask you some questions, and first thing that comes to your
First
mind.
thought.
So,
Okay.
yes, first thought. So, first question is, what is your go-to when you're reading? Ebook, audiobook, or print?
Print, print, print.
I thought you'd say that. I
Okay.
agree. Same here.
Okay. Next one. What would your title be if of your own autobiography? What would your title
Oh
be?
gosh. She persisted.
She persisted.
Very nice. Is there any place in the world you would love to travel to stay and write a book?
Wow. I I love the ocean. I love quiet. And so sometimes I kind of think about Ireland or, some place like that that's quiet. I also think sometimes of going into the hills of India, like,
Oh,
um,
nice.
or
Okay.
um, yeah, like up to Shimla or some, no, probably not Shimla, that's become too big and commercial, but some small town somewhere, you know,
Yeah.
um, that, yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
Next, what's the nicest compliment that you've received? You receive a ton of feedback and lots of emails, and what's the one thing that struck to you? But if you close your eyes, it makes you smile.
Oh gosh, that my book made someone cry.
Mm.
I don't cry easily with books, but there are books, then there are authors who will do that to me. And I feel like that is a moment when something really touches somebody. And it's not that it has to be
Okay.
sad. It can be happy tears too. Um, yeah.
Good one.
What's one thing on your bucket list?
I want to go to Tokyo.
Me
I
too.
haven't been to Tokyo.
Me too. I
And
had it for March 20. The month of COVID was March
2020?
2020. I had
oh
tickets with mom, dad, Chandani, me, and Gotham to go to Japan, and we had planned
oh
everything. 3 week trip, and we decided 2 weeks before because of COVID to take it off.
yeah.
So it's in my to
Yeah,
do
I mean,
list.
I love to travel, and there's so much on my bucket list, and because I'm just I love good food. I love Hindustani music. I mean, there's just so much, right, to do and see
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
experience.
agreed.
Have a long bucket list.
Okay. Next episode. Last one, Varsha. Um, Critics or most people who love books say that when you convert the book to a movie, 9 out of 10 times it ends up doing a disservice to the author. The question to you is there any book that is also a movie, say Harry Potter, for example, but is there any one that you've actually enjoyed the movie more than the book?
I thought of one the other day. Um, was it Light Between the Oceans? That there was this book that was set on a remote island where I want to say that's the title, where the main characters were lighthouse keepers. And the author did a phenomenal job, not to take anything away from the
Hmm.
author, but just seeing the remoteness and that lighthouse. And I mean, so sometimes I feel like when um, the setting of the movie is um, remote and inexperienced, where you don't have visual um,
Yeah.
kind of like markers in your mind, and then you see it, it's amazing.
Okay.
But the thing is, the writer has invitation into characters' thoughts and feelings, and I think that's the advantage sometimes, which is why people compare movies and books.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, you mentioned today librarians and
uh-huh.
lighthouse workers, both with LI. Those are both people that I've never thought about. I don't think about, but it's lighthouse workers and librarians. I got my kids knocking on the door. I don't know if you hear that on the
I was
background.
wondering if that was them.
Yeah, sorry, it's the time. Varsha,
Yeah,
I just want to say that you are the reason why we do this show. What we've just
Yeah.
done the last 60 minutes has been very exciting. We've learned a lot. Uh, I didn't know your journey. I didn't know of you, about you. You now make me want to buy your books to read them to my children. And honestly, when I spoke to Sabrina 6 months ago about doing this podcast, it was exactly to meet people like yourself. So really honored, and thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much for the invitation. I didn't even realize how the time passed, so that's a compliment to you both. And if your kids read the book, send me a picture of them.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to meeting your daughter Sabrina when I go to San Antonio in October.
Absolutely.
So
I'm looking forward to seeing you in person and
yeah,
for she's excited to meet you. And I have to tell you, your writing is remarkable and I am truly a fan.
thank
And I
you.
thank you so much for obliging us
Thank
and
you
being with
so
us today.
much. Thank you so much. I have a new picture book coming out next year that's about
Excellent.
three generations of Desi women who are Mehndi artists.
Oh, very
Wow.
You
nice.
should see the illustrations. Goodness me, they're breath.
Can't wait.
Yeah. So yes, email me and tell me which school your daughter's at. So I keep.
I will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
This has been another episode of Indian Explorers. I This episode was fantastic. And so we hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you.
Bye.